Welcome to Crashing Game Night. My name is Matt Diorio. Tonight, host of Gamertag Radio, Danny Peña, is crashing game night with us.
Yeah, thank you so much for the invite, man. I know we've been going back and forth for a while, so I'm glad that I'm here and we finally doing this, man. So it's awesome, man.
Absolutely. And as always, Gerard Herrera.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us. And Danny Peña, thank you so much for joining us, man. This is a huge honor. This is big. You have some big interviews. We can't wait to hear it. Fellow nerds and nerdettes, listen up, because this is going to be a good one.
Yep. And as always, Jason Belidio with the couch.
How's it going, guys? How's it going tonight? Danny, welcome to our fantastic couch. Thank you for having
Come on in.
I'm excited. We have a lot of things to talk about today.
Yeah, we do. So let's just kind of go in it. So, Danny, you've had a busy year this year with COVID, and even in the latter part of last year. So how's the move to the West Coast treating you?
It's been good. The only negative thing, I haven't really been going out. I've just been home the whole time, just to stay safe. But I've been super busy, especially, I've been doing this for so long. And last year when all this started, it was the busiest year for me ever since I started doing this ever. And it was all virtual. so it's been good. It's been good. I'm glad that it was difficult at first. I'm not gonna lie. Like the first 2 months when I used to live in New York City, the first 2 months when it got shut down, there was nothing really to do. Like, because everybody was confused. Like they didn't know what to do. Right. So for me, I was just focusing on just recording the podcast. But then after May, that's when things just went crazy for us. So I'm excited for the future, man. It's looking good. It's looking really, really good.
Hey, I share your pain on that with this year being all virtual too, because this year we qualified for media badges for the first time for E3. So of course COVID decided to go, hi, nope, sorry, you're not having the conference. So so what's it like being, the fact that you've been podcasting since 2005, and in the story you told Reggie, you kind of were handing out your show on cassette.
Yes. So, but I'm going to go a little bit before that. So a lot of people don't know this, but I used to be involved in the music industry back in like the 90s. And I was involved in like interviewing people for a hip hop newspaper in Miami, Florida. And 1998, there was a website that was out that was called Pseudo. And Pseudo was a radio/TV streaming service where you could listen to it. There's shows that you could watch on Real Player through 56K modem. They had like a rock show, a talk show, a hip hop show. I think they even had like a gaming show. I can't quite remember. But I was always listening to the hip hop show at that time. And I was involved with music. So I was also doing radio locally in Miami. So I always said to myself, man, I want to do this. Like if I could manage to have my own show online, this would be awesome. Right. So we tried to do it back in 1998 for a hip hop show. And I found out how expensive it was. And I was like, yo, there's no way we're going to do this. Fast forward to 2001. That's when Sega Dreamcast came out. Well, actually, no, 1999 came out. But then Phantasy Star Online comes out in January of 2001 in Japan. So I imported the game. I went to Chinatown in New York, to one of those stores around there, and I imported the game, and it worked out. I was like, all right, I could play this on my US Sega Dreamcast.
Just like Chinatown in LA, you can find it. You can find those.
You can find it, man.
Yeah. So I did that, and I just love the community. That I said to myself, man, if I do a talk show about Fantasy Star Online, that would be cool, So I launched a website through mp3.com. And that website was launched for music artists. So if you have, let's say you have a song on mp3.com and people listen to it, you get paid out of that. So I said to myself, yo, if I launch a show and people listen to it, I could get paid. So I did that. And I remember the first episode was launched. It was like about one of the quests from the game. And IGN picked it up and a bunch of other people. I'm like, oh man, bunch of websites in 2001. So my first check that I got was $500. So I was like, oh,
damn.
yeah. So I was like, yo, I'm gonna start a business. Yeah, back then.
That's also kind of super crazy because you were kind of like low key. You were kind of starting a podcast before like podcasts were even like a thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you were kind of at the ground floor, kind of figuring it out as you go.
Yeah, and
that's crazy, man.
I did everything on cassette, man. So
that's even crazier, man. I love that's cool.
Yeah, I still
my god.
Actually, look, I have one of my. This is the original cassette that I have that I recorded.
Yep.
Oh man,
the original. I always had this. Like I show people, like, yo, this is the original show.
You know what? It's I get that feeling too, because like when I started my photography business years ago, I have the first dollar I made from it framed just to remind myself, hey, this is where I started. Yeah.
That's cool. That's really cool.
So what's it like being in getting elected to the Podcasting Hall of Fame?
Oof, that's crazy.
Insane.
That was insane. So this is a conference that's the largest podcast conference called Podcast Movement. So they launched it, I think it was in 2014. And then 2015, it was going to be the 10th anniversary of podcasting. So they were looking for people that basically pioneer podcasts. So it was me, Todd Cochran, one of the VJs that used to be on MTV back in the 80s, Adam Carolla, and there was a couple other people. I can't remember exactly everybody, but yeah, we were the first group to get inducted to the Podcast Hall of Fame. So when I went on stage, I was actually the first one from all the inductees. And I was like, I had my community there, all the listeners that I never met them first time at the event, because I took them. We went to the red carpet and everything together, you know. So,
oh, sweet.
Yeah. So I was like not nervous. I was more of like trying to hold my tears because, you know, I've been through a lot in my life and stuff. And it was cool shouting them out. And I'm like, yo, man, thanks to you, I'm here. I got this award because of you guys. You know, if it wasn't for the community support, you know, I would have not gotten this award. You know, so. Yeah, it was a very powerful moment for me, and I also dedicated the award to one of my friends that used to work for Xbox back in the early days. She used to be the community manager, so she was the one that actually discovered us when we released our first episode of Gamertag Radio, and she did an interview, put us on Xbox.com. She even put us on the original Xbox dashboard. So
damn.
Was, at that time,
we all remember that.
At that time, she was battling breast cancer, and right there I broke down, you know. And I was like, "Hey, this award for you, Krista. Thank you for all the support, you know, and so on." So yeah, even the crowd was crying. I'm like, "Oh my god, yeah!" So it was
gonna be so validating, man, because like it's very well earned, because you put in all that hard work and like how you started from going to tapes and going to where you are now, man. Yeah, it's very well deserved, and all that hard work. It's great that it paid off.
Yeah, and you know what? For you guys that, you know, you have your show, and a lot of the other content creators that just launched their show, you got to keep on going, man. Don't think about like the numbers. There's a lot of things you just got to focus on just creating content and building your community, you know. And at the same time, once everything goes back to normal, go to those events, man, and get your name out there and let people see you. The more they see you, it's going to help you and your show. But if you just stay home and just record and that's it, I think it's not enough. You got to do more than that, you know. And that's what I did. I was everybody's faces, man. Like, hey, I'm here, you know. It's like every single time.
Oh,
you know,
absolutely. And it's like you sound like, and that's the one thing is like, would you say the listeners too? And that's what we're incredibly grateful for, is we wouldn't be where we're at right now, especially with the announcements we're going to be dropping next week, without the listeners. But also too is without, you know, guests like you and Tony Polanco and Khalif and even the voice actors from Final Fantasy taking the time out to come on to, you know, a podcast that we're just starting our third year. And, you know, it's incredibly grateful that you guys are taking the time, because you guys have such amazing careers that, you know, I think more people need to hear about. You know, especially, you know, like you 16 years, you know, you guys just did,
especially how you started, like the grind it takes, because I think it's becoming so more and more often that people are like, oh, I'm thinking about starting a podcast, and, you know, I don't know what to do yet. It's just, but it takes a lot of work, and you really have to stay consistent. And it's not like just I mean, it is supposed to be fun, but it's also, like, take it serious.
Yeah. No, I totally agree, man. Like when I launched Gamertag Radio, there was no iPhone, there was no podcast in the platform of like iTunes, there was no Spotify, there was no social media. Yeah. So I always tell people, because I speak a lot at the conferences, and I always will tell this to podcasters and content creators: go and find your community. Don't wait for the community to find you. Back in the days, I had to go pass out flyers, man. I'll go to like a midnight launch and I'll go to GameSpot or like Best Buy and just to pass out flyers. And that's how I got people to listen to the show. And I also will interview them. And I did that on purpose because I wanted them to talk about it. Like, hey, I'm in so-and-so show. Check it out. Like,
because you're getting them engaged and like, hey, you're being a part of it. Like, dude. Yep. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, but it worked out. It worked out for me. I mean, it wasn't easy, but and it was very confusing back then too, because when you say the word podcast, people thought, "Oh, I need an iPod to listen to it."
Yep.
Yeah. So it was so complicated to explain that.
Oh, I'm sure.
So I will always tell people, I have an internet radio show. I would never mention podcasts in the early days.
Yeah. Absolutely. So when you look at your career, especially Danny, being child of Dominican immigrants, right? What do you see as the challenges that people of color have within the industry?
Man, there's a lot of things, man. I feel like beyond Latino, there's a lot of talented people, man, that never get to shine in their opportunity because of the color of their skin. You know, when I started going to events, I was the only Latino there, the only one. Everybody else was just white people, and that's it, you know? And don't get me wrong, I would love to see more women, Latinos, Blacks, Asian. I want to see everybody involved, man. But it was, I'm not going to lie, it was kind of discouraging at that time. Like, I'm like, man, I feel like I'm alone, you know? And now I'm seeing that's been changing. The industry been changing a lot throughout the years, you know. Now I see more people of color involved in multiple events. You know, it's not just a certain race and that's it. I think now I see there's everybody in just one group and that's it, you know. So it's been changing a lot, man. And here's the thing: like, I went to Dominican Republic. I had to speak there a couple years ago, and one of the things that they told me is, and they're talented developers over there and content creators in Dominican Republic, but one thing that they mentioned to me is that they feel left out because a lot of the major companies will go to like the bigger countries like Brazil, Mexico, right? But like a little island, even a lot of companies ignore Puerto Rico, and it's considered part of the United States, you know? Right. So, wow. And there's so many talented people around those other countries that they can make amazing games, innovative games, you know. But they told me, Danny, we don't have the resources. We don't have the workshop. We learn everything through just watching YouTube. They learn English watching.
That's crazy.
And reading stuff online. Yeah. Like, there's even a developer in Cuba that he's the first independent developer in Cuba that's making a game there. And people don't know that. They don't have the resources over there, you know? So, yeah.
So not only are they learning like how to speak English and to work, but they're also learning how to translate and use what they're seeing to what they're to the goal that they're trying to get to.
And they're learning how to develop games.
Yeah, that's insane.
All through YouTube. Like, that's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. And it reminds me of me when I started, right? It forced me to be more creative because I only had a certain type of equipment for me, right? So it's the same thing for them. It kind of like they have to be more creative on the things that they have, the resources that they have at the moment to work on those games, you know. So things are
probably working twice as hard as maybe a game company that has a group of people.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Totally agree. Yeah, it's crazy. So so make sure if you see any like independent games that you see on Steam or just Xbox, PlayStation, or Nintendo Switch, support them, man. You know, support and check it out, because I think it's important, man. I think the more support we give them, it's gonna help the industry overall, you know. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, like, I always think that the indie scene's like building up right now, and it's even crazier now that you've put that out there. Like, do you think that's also just one of those things where there's not enough publicity like within those like small communities, or like maybe it's just not like broadcast as loud?
You know, it is. They don't have the resources to get the word out, right? That's one. But when you have a game like, let's say, for example, December of last year, Cyberpunk, it outshined anything that was coming out around that time, November and December, right? So, for example, Phoenix Rising was coming out around that time too, right? That game is phenomenal, and a lot of people slept on it because they were like, "Oh, Cyberpunk." But now everybody got to see the situation with Cyberpunk. Now the conversation has been changing. All the games have been getting delayed. Now that there's not that many games coming out this year because of COVID, now the conversation has been a lot about independent games, a lot, because there's nothing really new out there. You know what I'm saying? Like big AAA games, you know. But I think it's our fault too, as content creators and just consumers, that we get so hyped about one game. But yo, there's so many cool games out there that we haven't even tried out, man. You know, so
yeah, definitely.
I hope the conversation changes, man. 'Cause there's so many cool games out there, man. Especially indie scene. Yeah.
So when you look at the deficiencies, right, that they are experiencing, you know, without having the resources and whatnot, what do you think the industry itself, not content creators or the public, but the industry itself can do to better support not only these developing countries like the Dominican, Puerto Rico, Cuba, but also people of color as a whole?
Yeah, you know, I had Reggie on our show, Reggie Fils-Aime, and he's, you know, he retired and he's been doing a lot of like workshops with kids of color over there in not Dominican Republic, in New York City, for them to learn about the industry from the journalism side, right? For me, a couple of years ago, I promised the gaming community over there in Dominican Republic that I was gonna do an event over there for game developers for free, and I worked with a couple of people locally over there, and I took a friend of mine that works for Unity here in the States, and she's Latina, she's Puerto Rican, and we had a whole day, just a workshop of, I was talking more about the content creation side, and she was more of like how to create games using Unity software, you know, like the Unity engine and everything. Yeah, and we did it for the whole day, and I got to meet a bunch of people that were showing their games there too. So they had like a hands-on area where people could try all the games.
Dude, that's so awesome.
And the games was phenomenal. I was like, what? This is like Nintendo Switch, like Xbox. I could see this easily being there, like in these consoles, you know? So I think if we start doing more of that, of just giving them that support, I think it will be great for the industry overall, man. So I did the first steps. Hopefully after COVID, I want to start doing more of that, you know? So,
dude, I really applaud that because, like growing up, like in the early 90s and like to the 2000s, I graduated in 04. And like, obviously games were a huge part of my life. And I've always wanted to like figure out how to get into it. But the only thing I ever knew was like, you got to learn how to code. So how do I get into it? There was no information out there. Same thing with the film industry. Like I fell into the film industry for 6 years, but I had to work my ass off. It wasn't like there aren't a lot of programs like you're creating out there for younger people to like get that information. And we need more of that. And that's amazing.
Yeah, we definitely need more of that. Like, and that's good that you mentioned about film, because I did a documentary about how I started with GTR and everything, right? And I did this on purpose. I edited the movie using iMovie. And the reason why I did that, to show people that you don't need an expensive equipment.
Nope.
That's all I used while I was in the,
I mean,
same thing.
If you
that's
have
all I use for us.
yeah. But I'm saying, like, think about this. If all you have is great content, great story that will influence people or inspire people to, or even make them cry or make them laugh, you did your job, right? So I did that documentary, and I did it for like our community, right? I wasn't planning to do anything big. And then I said to myself, man, you know what? I'm getting people that are not gamers loving this. Let me submit this at different film festivals. And I did it.
That's awesome.
And a bunch of them selected the movie. It got an award. I even got selected to go to the Dominican Film Festival in New York City, one of the biggest film festivals over there, right? I was in the red carpet with my mom. I had Univision Telemundo interview me, and none of those people know that I did it through iMovie. They were like, oh, amazing film. You know what I'm saying?
Amazing, dude.
So that, I think that's what we need to do, man. Like, just do our thing, continue to do our thing. We have the content, we have the ideas, just go for it, man, you know, and see what happens from there. You know what I'm saying? I practice everything through cassettes and VHS tapes back in the days, you know. So
I think that's what more and more see, that's the greatest thing, dude. Like please keep doing that, because once again, like in my past, I had that problem too. I thought that I needed like the best laptop, I needed this camera. No, if you have the equipment and if you have, you know, access to like iMovie or something, you could do it.
Yeah, totally agree. 100%.
You don't need the best of the best equipment. Like you could do it with like your phone now and just iMovie and make something happen.
Yep. I mean, look, there's videos online that get millions of views and they shot it from their phone.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you never
Dude,
know.
Commercials are being shot by the iPhone now.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Totally
Yep.
So Danny, when you look at your entire career thus far, and as of late, to name two, you've interviewed Reggie and you've interviewed Keanu Reeves. But what's been the Jerry, you can calm down now. It's okay. What's been the highlight of your career to that point, and what was it like interviewing, you know, Reggie and Keanu?
Oh man, I have a lot. That's the thing. I have so many big moments. It's so hard to remember everything, but I think getting inducted was a big one for me. That was crazy. Another one was getting signed to CBS Radio for our podcast. We were part of their podcast network, and it's crazy. 1 year at E3, our show had like, oh my god, I think it was like almost 1 million downloads, like, or something like something crazy. I don't know.
Ooh. Yeah.
So they put us, we surpassed all their shows. 60 minutes, 48 hours, all their other podcasts that has nothing to do with gaming. We were like #1 from the network, you know, and that was a prime moment for me.
That's insane,
because we released 50 something episodes in 7 days between 3 of us. You know what I'm saying? So that's a highlight. Now, I know you mentioned Reggie, Keanu Reeves, but I had also multiple. I had Phil Spencer twice already. I had Jay Adler, one of the original creators from from Xbox. You know, I had meeting Bill Gates in 2001 was crazy for me.
Oh man,
yeah. And
that's November, a legend right there, man.
Yeah, November is going to be the 20th anniversary in November, so that's insane.
Oh
wow. Who else? Oh, I had Peter Moore multiple times on our show, and we did a recording for the 20th anniversary about the Sega Dreamcast. Yo, phenomenal episode. Yeah. Yeah. So now
Dreamcast ahead of its time, man.
Oh man, such an underrated console.
Now you mentioned Reggie and Keanu, so let me tell you the story of how this whole happened with Reggie. So I interviewed Phil Spencer for our 1,000 episode. So I went online and said, "Yo, I have 2 people that they're like my dream interviews, is Bill Gates and Reggie Fils-Aime. I hope one day I can make it happen." And Reggie randomly tweeted to me, like, he replied and he's like, "We got to make it happen. Let's do it." That was a year ago. So originally we were going to do it last year because he usually travels to New York, but COVID happened, everything changed, all the plans changed. But I think it worked out for us because I said, "Hey, Reggie, I would love to have you on our 16th anniversary of Gamertag Radio." He's like, "Let's do it." So we've been talking for months, for like a whole year, and it happened. It took me 10 years to get Reggie on the show. 10 years.
Damn.
10 years. But I mean, that's where we're saying, like, you know, you put in the work, and it paid off, man.
And that was a great interview, man.
Oh, thanks.
And man, it was awesome to hear that you guys had like similar backgrounds in Brooklyn, and like how he grew up, how you grew up. It was crazy.
Yeah, and I think it was important for people to hear Reggie as a person, not Reggie as a businessman.
Yeah,
you know?
Reggie the guy, not Reggie.
Yeah,
the suit.
Exactly. And a lot of people were like, "Damn, Danny, I've never heard Reggie talked about him getting robbed in New York," and like, it was a great conversation. It was wild, right? It was good.
And
so.
And curse the guy that stole your Game Boy, bro. That's sacrilegious. That sucks, man.
Yo, he stole my Game Boy
and all your games.
No, I had all my games in my 2 back pockets.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
So he only took like 1 game. I can't remember exactly what it was. But
okay.
And this was the original Game Boy, not the
the brick,
different version,
the
not,
brick,
not the color version. Or anything like that. Oh, but one more thing about Keanu Reeves. So the hype was crazy for Cyberpunk, right? And I randomly get an email from the team saying, "Hey, Danny, we saw that you've been working with Telemundo. We would love to have someone." He didn't even mention the name. "We would like to have someone that would like to talk about Cyberpunk on Telemundo." I'm like, "Sure." So I had to get approval from Telemundo. And I'm like, "Yo, could it be Keanu?" Like, me in my head. Like, I even talked to my co-host, Paris. Like, "Yo, Paris, do you think it's Keanu?" He's like, "Yo, I don't know. It could be. It's possible. You never know, right?" So I got the word officially that's Keanu Reeves. And we did the interview. And he was like, I have the raw footage, everything. Like, he's there laughing, cracking up and everything, right? So when I was done with the interview, his team and CD Projekt Red team, they hit me up and they were like, "Danny, that was his favorite interview." And I'm like, "Really? Whoa, snap, that was crazy." So when I found out, I was the only gaming journalist, content creator to interview him. Wow. Everybody else to interview him was like NPR, CNN, BBC, like the big
typicals.
Yeah. That has nothing. Oh, Jeff Keighley interviewed him. Not interviewed, but he did like a little clip for the Game Awards that day too. And that's it. That's about it. Yeah. So that's crazy.
So I gotta ask you, how much was Paris hating on you when you told me you were interviewing Keanu?
Nah. You know what he said to me? He was like, "Yo, I think I would have been nervous," because he's a huge fan of Keanu. Huge. He's like, "Yo, dude." But he was like, "Yo, do your thing. Do your thing." Oh, originally too, we were both gonna interview Reggie. But Paris, the day before, he hit me up and said, "Danny, I think you should do it." I go, "Why? I thought you wanted to interview him." It's like, "Nah, you know what, Danny? You've been trying for 10 years to interview him. This is your moment. Go for it." And
that's awesome.
Did it, you know? So that's the thing I love about Paris and Pete. We never been like competing against each other, you know, like last year I even told him, like, "Yo, Paris, last year was your year big time, because
it was
you grew as a content creator, you know, all that, and we always there to support each other, man, you know what I'm saying?" So it was cool hearing that from them about it. So
before we talk about the Microsoft news, I just gotta ask you, Khalif or Paris, who's got the better ribs?
Damn, I don't know, because first of all, I don't eat first of all, I don't eat pork. I don't eat pork at all. So, but it's funny that they're always going back and forth, right? So I did like a video with Khalif. I was traveling from Seattle to Los Angeles. That's when we were moving, my girl and I. And we just went to visit Khalif, and we're like, "Yo, let's do a crazy funny video to Paris." So we did that. He was like, simple. He was like, "Your rib sucks," but I was showing the PlayStation 5, because that's during that time it wasn't even out yet, so I had the controller and everything. So and the best moment was seeing Khalif doing that funny video. He had all the celebrities,
all the cameos.
Oh my god!
Oh yeah,
that was genius. Oh my god! Oh, who was it? Mattel, Jordan. Who else he had? He had like
Kurt Angle.
Kurt Angle.
A bunch of people. And he was like, when we had him on, he was so proud of it. He was like,
"Yo,
moment,
it was a drop mic moment, man." I was like, "Wow, you killed it, man." No, but that's my brother, man. I love him to death too, man. He's super cool.
Oh, I know. And I know it's like that fun gag, right, that you guys have just been going on and on and on about between Paris and Khalif and stuff. So so let's get on to Microsoft. It's been a big week this week for announcements. You know, first, earlier this week we had the announcement that Microsoft and Bethesda, the deal was finalized and approved by the SEC, which that set off a whole, everybody was blowing up on, you know, I know your Twitter was blowing up, Tony Planca's was, everybody else was. The small news that slipped in before today was that Xbox TV is ending in May.
What?
From your position, especially since you're more on the Xbox side, is it about time?
Yeah, because nobody uses that. I mean, you know, but you know what? I think that was an experiment that they were trying to do back in the early days during the 360 days, right? But honestly speaking, man, like, we bought the console because we wanted to play games. It's cool to have the apps, right? Like, you know, you stream your Netflix, your YouTube, etc. Disney Plus, WandaVision. Make sure to check it out.
Amazing.
But the thing is, people didn't buy an Xbox to watch TV, you know. So I'm glad that it's getting shut down, and it was a huge mistake too when they launched the
one.
They did the one, and they were promoting TV. And actually, I have a story about that, a behind the scenes story that you guys probably, this is going to be for you guys too. But so Xbox announced Xbox One. They showed the console in Seattle. There was like a bunch of content creators there. And I was like, I don't know about this, right? So then we went to E3, and their press conference was just awkward, super awkward. Phil Spencer announced the price. It was like crickets in there. It was weird, right? So, and at that time, Don Metric was taking. He was the one in charge of the division, and I wasn't happy. Like I felt like during the original Xbox and Xbox 360, Xbox really wanted the smallest sites. Like we were the ones, the hardcore audience. They will give us access. They will give us access to play the games, interview people, and all that. And then towards the end of the 360, they stopped doing that, right? So, and the reason was because Don Matrick wanted to change. Unless you're not like a major outlet, they will not talk to you. So I'm trying to get appointments with them throughout that like couple years, and they were like, no. So then that year of E3 2013 was a disaster. So I went to our website and I wrote a open letter. You can search on Google if you want. Open letter to Don Matrick, right? And I wrote that letter saying that we want you to be on our show or any other community site because we want to talk to you because this is not Xbox, right? Like this is not how Xbox used to be back then. And I released it. I posted it. That thing went viral. I was getting so many emails, not only from like our listeners and other people that found the letter, but I was getting people that used to work at Xbox, higher ups, or people that just worked there back in the days, thanking me for doing that. And a couple months, I think, actually 2 weeks after that, Don Metric left. It wasn't because of us, but he already had that plan for a while. So he left. Phil Spencer took over, and then a couple months after that, I think it was like sometime close to a year, Xbox contacted us in 2014. Okay, they want us to sit down with Phil Spencer and interview for the podcast, and it was because of that letter, So I was like, wow, this is crazy, man. And ever since then, Phil been making those really positive changes that's good for the company. Except when you said about the TV guide, they don't need that, No. They need games. That's what they need.
Getting rid of the Kinect.
Yeah.
I mean,
smart idea.
And this thing is, even though like for me, I've always been predominantly PlayStation just because of Uncharted and those are the games I like to play. But ever since Phil has taken over, right? Like he has done so many good things to try and rebuild Xbox. And I still think even now with Xbox Series S and X is that he's still rebuilding from everything that Matrick did. And I think in part of it, you got Harrison involved with that part of it as well, that, so for me, what we lead into the next thing is with Bethesda, right? Bethesda is well established. Everybody knows them from Fallout, for Doom, for Elder Scrolls. And I think it was a big acquisition that I think they needed to do, much like building the coalition, getting that talent in there, getting new games. So when you look at it, when you saw that announcement that they were going after Bethesda and that they had acquired them, this is pre-SEC, finalizing the deal this week. What was your thought on that?
I think it was a game changer, not only for Xbox, but just the industry overall. Like this was $7.5 billion, more than I think, more than when Disney acquired Marvel, which is insane, right? And I'll tell people this. Like, I mean, look, we could talk about the exclusive in a few minutes here, but at that time, at that time when we heard the news, this is like right before pre-order started for Xbox Series, right? I said to Paris, and Paris said the same. Like we all agree with this. Like, yo, this is a game changer. This is not, forget about big for Xbox. This is big for the industry overall because now it's gonna help. It's gonna help Bethesda big time. Now develop games even better, right? Because now they're gonna have more resources. They're gonna have more support. Because let's be real, all their games has been buggy every time they launch. So now,
thank you.
This is gonna help. This is going to help them big time now to make better games because now they're going to have more testers, the support from Xbox. It's a lot of things. Plus, think about this, man. Imagine those cross games, man. Halo cross Doom. Like there's so many cool things they could do. I could see the craziness, man, in the future with this, man.
Sick. That would be sick.
And you said as a PlayStation fan, you should also be happy because look, at the end of the day, when there's competition is great for the consumers, man. Us the gamers. Definitely. You know what I'm saying? Like there would have been no Xbox Game Pass if it wasn't for PlayStation kicking Xbox butt during the last generation.
Yep.
There wouldn't have been no a bunch of other things because also Nintendo released certain consoles that like everything is it's good for us, man. And people are just stuck with the whole console war thing. You know, I'm thinking that's like just gaming overall. This is big. This is huge, man. You know,
and like we like you guys are more predominantly an Xbox podcast, right? And just kind of we're more a little bit PlayStation. And the only places we kind of quote unquote would say bash Xbox really, which we don't, is just we disagree with some of their business decisions, right? Like naming it Series S and Series X because it caused so much confusion in the marketplace, right?
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's like, who cares? Like, let people enjoy their games. Regardless if it's Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, iPad, your Android phone, whatever it is, just let people enjoy games. And I think though, when you look at Bethesda, right, let's talk about what they're actually going to be putting on Game Pass tomorrow. And for those listeners that are going to listen to the audio feed after this weekend, is like Friday, they're going to be launching on Game Pass. You're going to have Dishonored 1 and 2. You're going to have Doom 2, Doom 64, Doom 3, Doom Eternal.
Yes.
You're going to have Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. Which
classic.
Is one of my favorite.
That's from the original. That's from the original Xbox. Yeah.
And that's a ton of game. That game alone is a ton of gaming all on your own.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
The best part is probably going to look even better and faster with the new systems, So I'm so curious to play that right now.
You got Morrowind 4, Oblivion.
Sick.
Honestly, that game is one of the reasons why I'm not a Bethesda fan, is because you talk about bugginess, right? I lost 120-hour gameplay because of a bug.
Oof, that's rough.
So I was doing the main quest. One of the assassins never popped. Which basically you can't advance the story without killing both assassins. So therefore, my 120 hours went straight out the window.
Oh my God, that sucks, man.
To the point where I took the game out of my 360 and threw it against the wall and broke the disc. It was that infuriating. But you also have Elder Scrolls Online, Evil Within, Fallout 4, Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 76, Prey, Rage 2. And then you have Wolfenstein New Order, The Old Blood, and Youngblood all hitting Game Pass on Friday.
20 games in total.
That is
20 games in total.
I'm not gonna lie, that is a lineup.
That's strong. That's a strong lineup.
But not only that, add this EA Play, right? Also add all the games that's available there on Game Pass before all this. Like that's pretty crazy to have that amount of games.
Yeah.
And here's the part where people are not really saying, like, I'm a huge fan of the Evil Within, especially Evil Within 2. Amazing game. There's so many people that's completely slept on that game. And now with Game Pass, there's going to be a lot of crowd that is going to be their first time playing Morrowind, Evil Within, like all those games, even Doom. Doom 3 is a great game that came out for the original Xbox and PC, So I'm excited for the future, man. Like, I know you guys love PlayStation. Look, I have all consoles, I have the PS5 too. So, but they have the PlayStation collection. It's kind of like a subscription as long as you're a PlayStation Plus.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, that would have not happened if it wasn't for Game Pass. And I think the more success that Xbox has with Game Pass, I feel like PlayStation and even Nintendo are gonna make some business decisions in the future that's gonna maybe release something similar to that, and I think this is going to be good, man. I'm loving this, man. Like, so many cool games.
Yeah, that's the one thing I've kind of agreed. I've never really been bashing Xbox on the play decision, because I think it's a bold move, and the reason I think a lot of people are kind of questioning it because it's the first move of its kind.
Yeah,
like Microsoft, like that, they're really putting all their chips into this. and it's looking like it's gonna pay off. And who knows? The only thing I'm worried about is that it gets rid of physical. I am still a physical guy. I still want my physical games, but
you know what, I always say this to people, man. Like dude, let me tell you, during the time of the Xbox 360, I had so many games, I had to get a storage because I just didn't have space.
I had to buy a bin too. Dude, I was predominant. I always had an Xbox and a PlayStation. I actually really loved like Xbox, but like going back to the further in the conversation, when Xbox One was out, it didn't feel like Microsoft was about games. They were trying to like do too much, which I totally agree with you. Yeah, TV, where like it just didn't feel right with the console, the Androidness of it, even the games coming out. It just didn't feel like games are on the back burner. That's why I was more curious on the Series X and S. They're coming back to just games, and like, I'm really interested in the series now because I might want to get one. Yeah.
So when we look at, go ahead, Danny.
No, I was gonna say that I have both Xbox Series X. I got that one early. We got the PlayStation 5 early also
nice.
From PlayStation for the first time. That they were like, you know what, let's hook up. So I was like, oh snap! They gave one. They gave one to Paris. But the thing that I love about Xbox Series S, first of all, I love the design. It's very small, and honestly, the majority of people don't care about 4K, man. Us hardcore, we're like, oh, 4K graphics, you know. But the majority don't care about that, man. And for example, look at the Nintendo Switch. It's not like PlayStation 5.
It's barely HD.
Yeah, we could talk about that in a few minutes, but but that thing is selling like crazy, you know. So Xbox Series S, and we had this conversation on Twitter Spaces. Paris and one of our friends that she's also a content creator. She mentioned something that I forgot to mention this in the beginning of the show. A lot of people of color don't have the funds to buy an expensive computer or expensive console, right? But man, having an Xbox Series S for that price for cheap, that's great, man. Now more people could actually play those games or use their phones and play those games on S Cloud and connect the controller. That's even cheaper and just pay monthly. And I think the gaming community overall will grow even more because of that, you know, and I'm very happy to see that they made that decision, make that cheap, man, you know. So really cool.
All right, so we know they're going to go exclusives with Bethesda titles. That's
exclusive. No, that's 100%. Yeah. Been saying it since September.
I gotta point this out though. This is so weird for me to say exclusives for Xbox. Just saying.
No, I get it.
I've always been like, this is what I like. I can't deal with Xbox. Well, I can't deal with Xbox because like once they put out that like, oh no, exclusives for 2 years, like, I was like, man, like that is kind of like, that's where I'm saying like, okay, you gotta have something in the pipe, like in order for you to keep kicking for 2 years with not having anything that's brand spanking new for Xbox, you know?
Yeah.
And I think today, or like that drop of sending so much stuff on the Game Pass actually is probably going to be one, taking out the Xbox Gold, the Xbox.
Yeah, we know Gold is on its way out.
It's gonna be out. Yeah,
I think this is what's making that like shift over for definite for sure.
So what games coming from Bethesda do you think will go multi-platform? Because we know everything else is pretty much going exclusive.
I don't know. Indiana Jones is a question mark because I don't know if Disney want that multi-platform, or maybe there's like some contracts already with all the companies.
My prediction is going multi.
Well, Xbox have so much money that they can easily pay that game to be exclusive.
That's also
we
true.
Don't know. You know, we don't know. But that one's a question mark. I think anything like Elder Scrolls Online, like something like that, I could see multi-plat. But let me tell you, Starfield, Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Doom, all those games, all those big games, that's going to be exclusive 100%. I do not see that as like a multi-plat game, you know. But I think the majority of the games are going to be all exclusive, you know. So, yeah, we've been saying that since last year, and everybody was trashing us like, that's impossible. And I'm like, and I'm asking them, the crowd, if PlayStation would have done the same thing, Nintendo or any other companies, will you be asking the same question and allow them to stay quiet? But for some reason, Xbox, it's like they have to have a multi-platform. Look, it's a business, man. At the end of the day, it happens with PlayStation. They acquire companies, and Insomniac, one of my favorite developers ever. I love them. That's exclusive. Like I love Sunset Overdrive, and it wasn't for Sunset Overdrive, there would have been no Spider-Man. Like they even said it. Like correct, they learned from their mistakes and made a classic game. Like Miles Morales made me cry last year. You're playing that. Like I love that game so much. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I went off the rail, but yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Oh no, absolutely. And that's the thing. It's like Ted Price came out and said that.
Totally agree.
Much, that very same thing. He's like, hey,
Spider-Man's
if it
amazing.
wasn't for Sunset, you know. Now, real quick, speaking of PlayStation, one thing that came out this week was Sucker Punch. Game director Nate Fox and creative director Jason Connell for Ghost of Tsushima were actually named as permanent tourism ambassadors by the city of Tsushima in Nagasaki due to their work and the amount of history they dove into.
That's amazing.
For Ghost of Tsushima and spreading the history of Tsushima to the world. So I want to give a quick shout out to them and say congratulations, because
deserved, because that's an amazing game.
That game is amazing with the amount of attention to detail they actually put into it.
You went crazy with the photo mode.
Oh hell yeah!
Matt went crazy with the photo mode.
I'm the photographer.
But it's worth
what
it.
Do you expect?
Oh no, totally. Like the moment we loaded that game and they put photo mode on, Matt got it a little later, and we were like, dude, you're gonna go insane with photo. It's epic.
It's that good. It's that good.
Yeah, it's that good.
And I have to say that's the power of gaming, right there.
Right there.
Right,
So let's talk about a game that released this week that doesn't look the sharpest, so to speak. Apex Legends on Switch. So what did you think of it?
Look, I'm a huge fan of Apex Legends, like huge, and especially my girlfriend. We always play almost every night. So I was excited because look, Panic Button, those who don't know, they usually port a lot of big games from next gen consoles or current consoles to the Switch. They worked on Rocket League, both Doom, the original Doom, and Doom Eternal. They also ported Wolfenstein, one of the Wolfenstein games, for the Switch. Looks phenomenal, right? I played The Witcher 3. That was from another developer. Looks good. I had more hours on that version than the original Xbox. So just want to say that.
Really?
Yeah. Because I was always traveling on the go. I was always taking with me, and I'm playing it.
Oh, nice.
So I'm like excited to play Apex Legends. I'm like, look, I know graphically it's not gonna be like the consoles, but it's gonna be good. I could play on my balcony, on the go.
It's gonna be decent, You're like, it's gonna be decent.
So I turned on the machine and I loaded up Apex Legends. First, I noticed the difference with the loading. Took forever. Then was the showing the characters in the game too. Looked kind of fuzzy, right? I started the game. I don't know if you guys play Apex Legends or not, but where the loading where you select the characters.
Yeah.
It wasn't even showing on screen. It was just like it was taking so long to load. So once it loaded and you selected your characters, it will go to the next page and it'll show like current champions or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was so many voices from the previous video, the previous character selection, that all of them got picked up on the champion squad, plus their voices. So it was like a disaster from there, right?
Also, there was a delay issue with the loading.
Delay, and I think it was I think it was because of the internet, and there was so many people connecting to the servers that the game was just like buggy. So then I go into the game, I'm flying. The island looks very weird from far away, and it's like still loading, and then you go into the island and I'm start playing it. It feels weird, like it feels slower. It's 30 FPS. It doesn't feel right, man. But
no,
there is potential with updates. They could fix it, and with the new rumor Nintendo Switch Pro, or Nintendo Switch XL, I don't know how they're gonna call it. Once that comes out, I could see all those games that wasn't enough for like the current Switch. I think that version is going to make it a little bit better. I think, so there's potential. But look, if you never played Apex Legends, that's the only one that you have in your Switch. Like you only have the Switch and that's it. You'll get used to it, But for me, I'm so used to the current consoles. Like it's hard for me to to play. So it's rough. Rough.
After playing, Danny, I was like, man, the taste of this is just kind of bad in my mouth, just because it was like harder to see some of the characters, especially like Bloodhound, right? When it's the brown armor, right? In King's Canyon, he was blending into the walls. You know, it was kind of harder to see because of it. I went and played Apex Legends on my PS5 just so I could kind of feel whole again.
Yeah. I'm back. Yeah.
Back, right?
yeah.
So I know we got to get you out of here in a couple minutes. You got a time crunch. So real quick, before we let you go, we ask this to every one of our guests, but what's your favorite game to play for game night? Whether it's a board game, video game, or whatever, when you have family and friends and we're actually able to not have to do, you know, Zoom party nights because of COVID.
Man, that's a good question, man, because I like simple games, man. Like I love Tetris Effect Connected. I love that. The other night, I was playing with Blessing from Kind of Funny and a couple of our friends that work in the industry, and my girlfriend. We were all playing Clue. We were like, regular.
That's sick. I like it.
And who did it? It was 6 of us. 6 of us.
Oh, that's awesome. A full game. Cool.
Full game. And we were just vibing. Like, you know, sometimes I miss those moments, man, of just forget about competing. Let's just work together, have fun. You know, just a cool game, or Uno will be cool. And one thing that I love was playing with my family, you know, like just local co-op games, you know, like co-op like with Cuphead, Castle Crashers, like stuff like that. Because you know what, I think that when I grew up playing video games, I love doing that at either at home or when I go to like an arcade spot and I'm playing with friends, man. Like that experience, you know, or waiting in line just to play Mortal Kombat 2 or Street Fighter 2.
Put your quarter down.
Put your quarter down. Yeah. Like those moments are special. You're never gonna forget that, man. But now it seems like everybody want to play everything online, and I get it. Online's cool, but there's nothing like local co-op, man. I miss that so much, man. You know, playing Rock Band with friends, that was like amazing too. You know,
I've been saying that for years. Harmonix needs to come back. Like there's still a need for those musical games. Jason and I had so much fun when we used to work together in our little rinky-dink video game store, man.
We literally closed the shop, and then we're like, "Yo, you want to play some Rock Band?" Yeah, dude.
Like, let's do it. Get a couple beers after hours. Get a couple beers. Play Rock Band for like 2 hours, and then like, oh crap, man, we should leave the store, bro.
Nothing like watching Jerry get worked over in Mario Kart by my wife in the same room too. That's great.
Oh, that's another game, Mario Kart. Oh my god, that
destroys souls, man. That game broke me.
Yeah. Where can the listeners find you on social media?
Oh man, find me on Twitter, Godfrey GODFREE. I'm very active on Twitter. That's like I have Facebook and everything else, but man, Twitter is like where I'm like the most vocal, man. You know, so I've been there for so many years on Twitter. So yeah, follow me there, man. And if you want to listen to the podcast, you can find us on any podcast app. Just search for Gamertag Radio. We're there. And if for those who are listening and want to check out the documentary that I made, Gamertag Radio podcast story, it's totally free. I put it up on YouTube. Go to story.gamertagradio.com, and it's only 60 minutes. There's a lot of people there from the industry talking about us, and it's really cool. Really cool.
Awesome. Cool, man. So, real quick, Jerry Newman wanted to say, hey, another red shell. It's almost like there is one every episode.
One last question, Danny. Who do you main on Apex Legends? Or do you have one, or do you just jump around?
I jump around, man. I like Bangalore.
Yeah, I do too.
I only use her for now, man. Bangalore.
Yep. Oh,
yeah. I like her a lot. For some reason, I'm love the missiles drop and the smoke, and I like that a lot. But I tried the other one. Oh, Horizon is good. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Love Horizon.
I've been using Fuse and Wraith.
Oh, Fuse. Okay. Dope.
When I was playing, I was with Gibraltar most of the time.
Yeah, you know what? I like Fuse. Fuse is pretty cool.
Yeah, he's a good character. I just love the Aussie. Yeah, he's just down to party.
Yeah, it's cool. It's really cool.
So, Danny, I want to say it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. We got to get you back on. You know.
Yeah.
Some more stuff.
Next time when it's when it's like slower day and it's not too crazy.
Oh yeah.
Maybe we can get Paris to join us as well.
Paris,
have them on as well. So definitely thank you for crashing game night with us tonight. To our listeners in the chat, out on podcast land, thank you for crashing game night with us as well, guys. If you like what you heard, always please leave those comments, leave a voicemail for us, follow us on the podcast platform of your choice, and always, guys, just be excellent to each other and stay frosty.
That's right, all my fellow nerds. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Peña, Daniel. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for all the knowledge that you shared with us. For all the listeners, if you guys want to pursue gaming or anything like that, there's opportunities out there now, and take them and seize them. And also, there's always the struggle's always real. Time's up. Black Lives Matter. Continue showing your support, and let's once again just continue spreading that positivity and kindness out there, guys.
Thank you again, Danny, for coming on and shooting it with us. It's been a pleasure, man. It feels like it's like part of like royalty, kind of. But again, thank you again so much. Well, you're always welcome on this couch.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me, and I love sharing my stories, and the reason is because I want other people to do better than me, man. If you guys create a show, podcast, YouTube, whatever, do better than me. I think we need more content creators, and we need to inspire other people to do the same thing, man. So thank you so much, man, for letting me be part of the show, man.
All right,
thank you,
Jason. Steal Theo's thunder.
Stay safe out there. We're almost there. A couple more months of vaccines. They're coming out, so they are coming out quick. So please get vaccinated if you can. And again, for all the people out there listening, TTFN, ta-ta for now.